Ever wondered what it would be like to have a mental companion who can think and act on their own? That's what a tulpa is. Discuss tulpas, share your experience with having tulpas, and give advice to fellow tulpa creators here. What I just read to you is the description for the r/tulpas subreddit. Tulpas are objects or beings that are created through spiritual or mental powers, and today we are going to explore the community of Tulpamancy, the culture centered around these tulpas. I came across this subreddit when I saw this post, a green text where the guy talks about how he would think of a fictional girl that he himself had created. Eventually, this character became so well fleshed out that she developed consciousness and a personality entirely different from his own, and told him to stop jacking off. It was reposted on the r/tulpa subreddit with the caption, "Anon accidentally makes tulpa." Now, if you're like me, you might read this and think that this is some sort of schizophrenia or dissociative identity disorder, but this is a distinction that tulpamancers, that's what they call themselves, make very clear. Schizophrenia just happens. Chances are you're not going to self-induce it unless you get tangled up in some heavy drug use or hit your head really fucking hard. Now, schizophrenia is usually genetic. Tulpas, however, are carefully constructed characters. They don't have to be human, but they do have to be very carefully constructed. Some people even recommend writing a full-length book about the character you're gonna quote-unquote create before even attempting to create it. These characters are serious business. This isn't a big shadow man standing at the foot of your bed or interdimensional beings you need to vanquish from the Paris catacombs. Remember that video? Tulpas are, well, whatever the fuck you want. Little goblin man, anime girl, a monk, whatever you can think of, and whatever would please you. Because this is about you. That is, until tulpas develop their own life and consciousness. This is really interesting to me. Sometimes, apparently, tulpas can become hostile. Though rare, this is a real thing. A little strange, considering these characters are formed entirely from one's own imagination. So you'd think one would be able to just, think of a character that isn't evil. But no, from telling people to hurt themselves to threatening to hurt them themselves, evil tulpas can sometimes form in these people's minds. But don't worry, there are plenty of ways to deal with these situations. The first temporary way is to put them in stasis, or just kind of keep them suspended in time. Some people have imaginary wonderlands, that's what they call them, I'm not mocking anything here, that they put the wacky little characters in. This is just a holding place while the human decides on one of the other two permanent options. Permanent option number one is to simply sit down with a tulpa and have a long chat with them about their behavior. Or imagine sitting down and having a long chat with them about their behavior. Unlike humans, if they are threatening to murder you and others, there's still a good chance that you can just talk it out and they'll realize they're wrong. Or, permanent option number two, you can kill your tulpa. There's a lot of controversy in the tulpa community about the morals of quote-unquote killing a tulpa. Some say that simply ignoring a tulpa, ceasing to think about it, is murder. Just leaving it alone is a form of murder. Also, you can literally murder them. I don't know if this means you imagine them getting shot in the head, or if you actually grab a kitchen knife and stab wildly in the air wherever you think the bastard is, but murder is apparently a very real thing for tulpas. It's seen as something that should only be used as a last resort for hostile tulpas. This brings us to how seriously tulpas are taken by many. It didn't start off as Redditors imagining fake girlfriends and stuff like that. No, it can actually be traced pretty far back, being used for Tibetan monks in meditation exercises. But it became a lot more popularized online due to My Little Pony. I nearly forgot that this whole debacle happened. The tulpa community really sprung up on My Little Pony forums in 2012 after a lucid dreaming thread transformed into a tulpa thread. You know what happened with My Little Pony. I don't think I need to go too in-depth. Besides the jars, My Little Pony fans imagined that their favorite character was real, right next to them when they woke up, when they went to bed, and when when they... There's some pretty interesting stories about this online. One of them I found was that someone from 4chan had created a My Little Pony Tulpa that developed wrong due to the dude having mental breakdowns. So, the My Little Pony Tulpa became mentally deranged and just screamed in his ear 24/7. Sounds like a fucking nightmare, and a lot more like schizophrenia. There's another story about a dude who made like 15 pony tulpas, trapped them in a wonderland, and would just go in there and marry them, and sometimes kill them. Obviously, this doesn't mean that all the people in the community are like this, but god damn, dude. This one's the creepiest. I'm gonna read out the comment itself. This guy, he was schizophrenic and liked to mess around with some dark shit. Anyways, one of the stories he posted was about his experience trying to make a tulpa. He decided to make it a replica of himself. It goes well at first, but gradually it starts to develop some creepy traits: long, sharpened teeth, elongated face, long fingers with pointed nails. He said he thought his fucked up head was warping the tulpa's appearance. All this thing would do was stand at the edges of his vision and watch. He said the longer he developed it, the darker and more malevolent it became. He felt an intense dread all the time. He decided to ignore the thing until it disappeared. It took a long time, but eventually he was able to sleep at night without it watching and waiting. Honestly, I was considering fucking around with this tulpa stuff just to see how legitimate it was, but I truly cannot overstate how little I want an otherworldly demonic version of myself following me around everywhere. Again, genuine nightmare fuel. There's a lot of interesting studies on DID that kind of go hand in hand with tulpas, like this study that showed one personality in an individual showed an allergic reaction from drinking orange juice. But when they switched back to a personality without allergies, the allergy symptoms, both mental and physical, ceased instantaneously. The study is from 1988, so I don't know exactly how accurate it is, but the human brain is so fucking weird and cool, holy shit. There's another phenomenon with these tulpas I want to talk about. Similar to DID, tulpas can apparently take over people's bodies. That's why you'll see a bunch of comments on the subreddit with little things that say their tulpa's name at the top. Which is strange because no one on Reddit takes people's usernames into account before replying or downvoting or whatever. They just see the comment and act off that. Reddit's format is specifically designed to shift attention off of the username and onto the comment itself. So I don't see any point in this. But the point is that with time for the tulpa to mature, a lot of people let tulpas take over their bodies and just live life. I think that's fucking bizarre. Given we only have so much time on Earth, to give your own time living to another thing that you created? Especially because people say they have no memories of the times that their tulpas were in control. These motherfuckers aren't even spectating. They're just kind of gone. It's definitely a little frightening to imagine people letting these characters who are apparently telling them to kill others take control and drive cars. I know full-fledged legal adults who I don't trust behind a wheel, so this is fucking ridiculous. Last interesting thing about this I wanted to talk about is the concept of tulpa slavery. This guy went on the subreddit and asked if they could force a tulpa to spend hours straight learning Japanese and then transfer the knowledge over to his brain. First off, Redditor learning Japanese, stereotype to the max, learn French or some shit, dude. But mainly, people in the comments accuse him of seeing the tulpa as a slave, which I guess I agree with, but also, since it's just a part of his brain according to these people, he has the right to see it as a slave, right? It's his brain. I don't fucking know. I'm not making a video on the philosophy and morals of tulpas here. This whole topic is very interesting, man. I tried to avoid really making fun of this whole idea of tulpas and stuff, because there's a lot of stuff out there saying this is a lot more common among people with disorders that change the way they interact socially, so a tulpa can seem easier for them to interact with than other people. I'm not quite high and mighty enough to say that this is unhealthy interaction, because the truth is, I don't fucking know. I'm not a psychologist. For some people, I'm sure it works just fine and might even help them, and for some people, it's probably pretty damn awful for them. Whatever the truth is, I think it's a really interesting topic, and I want to hear hear your thoughts on it. Real quick, someone in the comments told me to make a Discord a week or so ago, and so that's up now, so pop by. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Here's the statistic again. So really subscribe and have a good one.